Gotcha. 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 101 of the Shower Podcast, the podcast where I'm in my shower and you do you. I'm your host, Chip, and have you ever felt trapped? Have you ever felt like somebody else, actually looking very much like yourself, is trying to trap you, is trying to do something for you? Well, it happened to me, and I wanted to share a bit of the insights that I've found today searching this topic. Before doing that, regarding episode 100, thank you so much for all of you that listened and watched. It was fantastic. There was a huge boom compared to the others, and really, it has been amazing. So thank you again. Before we start, since it helped a lot with the last video, if you're not subscribed and you like this content, please subscribe, leave a like, because every day there's going to be a new episode and it helps a lot the channel. So if you want to see more, if you want to see it better, it really means a lot. Having said that, let's start with the definitions. Just another short premise before we fully dive in. All the things that I'm going to say today are fully stuff that I've searched online. I'm not a professional. I'm not nothing. I will use terms that most likely will be mistaken. So please do your own research and, if you have the possibility, go and speak with somebody that is a professional. If you feel like these things really are a problem for you, because again, it is a serious matter. So what is the topic? What is the word that I found that I really, that resonated with me? The word is self-handicapping, and by definition is a psychological behavior that leads the person to create and bring obstacles into his normal day-to-day basis and into his plans in order to be able to use those scenarios that he created as excuses or obstacles in order to justify his performance. What do I mean by that? I think we all know the most classical example is that you have to prepare for an exam. You have procrastinated your way into it. You weren't really maybe challenged by it. You had a lot of other things to do, or in general, let's be frank, you didn't care so much about it. So you don't prepare, you go actually to do the exam, and when the performance is of course bad, and that's the tricky part, you go there and you know that if you had studied, if you actually dedicated the time that you had to do that exam, well, you could have passed. And so you say, well, I guess next time if I prepare, it's not gonna be an issue. And the most important bit, and the thing that I want you to focus on, and the thing that caught me by surprise because it really resonated with me, it was the only reason why we do this, or one of the main reasons, is to preserve our ego, is to preserve our performance. Think about it. The moment that the results that you face, the challenges that appear in front of you, are determined if they go well by yourself, by your ego increases, and that's the normal, I think, way that we live. The things that you do good, you will continue thinking, hey, I'm pretty good at this, let me keep going. But if you really care about this ego and you actually don't want it to be hindered by saying it's on me that I failed, it's on me that things didn't go that well, therefore, and that's again another important bit, I'm not as skilled, I'm not as good as I thought, I then introduce a self-handicapping mechanism by which I say, I myself was good enough. I have what it takes to do this thing. But due to the fact that I didn't study, due to the fact that there were other factors outside of myself that kept me from, having the performance that I could have had, this was the result. It wasn't my fault. It was these other things. But my ego, the way that I see myself, it's still the same. And Of course, you can imagine that this is not healthy. This is not beneficial in any way because you are removing, from your tools, the possibility of accepting defeat, accepting failure, and going from there. Any person that's ever lived in this world that has been actually successful, that actually achieved something, that created something, will tell you the only way to get there is through failure. You have to fail, you have to miserably fail and change. Change the approach, change the situation, change the timing. As we discussed also in other episodes, it's not that, if you remember, it's right thing, wrong time. Maybe what you do, it's correct. But you have to acknowledge and be, let's say, responsible and say, I know what I'm doing, I did my best, and I think I should just trust this process a bit more because the time wasn't right. And this is normal, this is healthy. But the moment that you say, every time that you fail, it wasn't the right time, but you know that you didn't do all the things that you could have done. There were so many things that you left off the checklist, but you then say, no, it wasn't. It wasn't me. It was the time. It wasn't the right moment. Well, then the situation changes. And finally, why did it resonate with me? What brought me to have this connection? It's related to studying. It happened to me a lot of times in university that I saw a topic, I was interested into it. So, I went there and I was like, okay, let me focus on this. And for several reasons, could be, again, my previous background, my overall competence, and my, let's say, personal skills, I would understand the topic. There wasn't a real challenge. The challenge was rehearsing, making it consistent, really diversifying my knowledge. But those were all things that in my mind were boring, I'm not challenged by this thing. It's not something that I don't understand, therefore I need to put more effort to get it. I got it. Overall, I know what it means. The problem is that kind of approach is good enough if you want to start doing something meaningful. But if you have to prepare for an exam, if you want to make sure that your performance will be consistent with your knowledge, well, you have to put in this work. And it happened a lot of times, and that's why it resonated so well with me. I would sit down, look at the paper, look at the questions, and be like, man, if only I would have studied one more week. This thing would be so easy. Because the problem was not that I didn't know how to solve it or I was completely lost. No, I knew how to solve it. The problem is that, was it +2 or -2 here? Did I have to do this first or the other thing? Was this definition, should I have applied it before or after the other? And in a moment of stress and in a moment where, a lot of things go through your mind, well, you don't know what to do. Therefore, you go do whatever you were able to do, give in the exam, and then when the results come back, you're like, either, you failed. So you're like, man, if I did something, but it wasn't me because my skills were good enough, I was able to recognize the patterns. I knew what I had to do, but you didn't. But again, my ego was intact. And the other alternative was you get a passing grade, but it's a passing grade. It's, you're not there for that reason. So of course you go forward because you have so many other exams to do. So, you cannot stop there. But at the same time, you're not really satisfied. All of this to say that when you recognize these patterns, try to accept failure, accept the fact that your ego cannot stay where it is. It cannot only grow, it has to follow the trend of the stock market, given that it's a hot topic these days. So you will have moments when you peak, when you go very down, but then you can relapse and go even further. The thing that matters is the trend. If overall you're going up, it's good. If you're expecting just a linear curve that just goes up and you never have problems, spoiler, you're lying to yourself and you're creating all of these behaviors, all of these patterns to lie to yourself, to create, these magical stories, to give yourself an explanation. But the reality is not that. I haven't solved it. Still struggling myself, but at least, I'm getting closer. And having found now a specific definition really helped me. So I hope that also for you, if you're looking into these topics, look into self-handicapping and read some documentation, because it's really insightful. As always, the Shower Podcast is here to give you a hint, to make you think. The rest of the work, unfortunately, it's on you, but it's the maximum that I can do in 10 minutes. Having said that, this was episode 101 from the Shower Podcast. Thank you very much for listening. If you liked it, leave a like, subscribe. I hate to say it and to repeat it, but it really means a lot. So, having said that, stay consistent, stay resilient, and see you at the next one.